A few months ago, a remaster or a collection was announced for one of my favorite series ever, Battlefront. And I'm not talking about the remakes. As well as they were, they had a lot to live up to and they just didn't make it. So, when I saw that there was a classic collection coming out, I was over the moon. I was so glad that people would be coming back to this game. I was so scared that something was going to happen. And that is exactly what happened. Today, the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection released, and it is a cash grab. I know that if you read any of the Steam comments, that is exactly what you will see, but I want to go through some things and talk about what I mean by that. First off, I want to talk about the thing that hits you first. The launcher is very nice, being able to immediately choose between Battlefront 1 and 2, but the menus are rubbish. While they're kind of okay and they work a bit better than the originals, all of the creativity and imagination that you had from the originals is just gone. Like, yes, Battlefront 2 had a very weird system where it would essentially launch a completely other game when you went into a battle. But the menus were cool, everything made sense. Getting from one place another was interesting visually. Where in here, you get kind of okay recreations of what we had, but they're just not interesting anymore. Even a lot of the sounds in Battlefield 1 and 2 are just wrong. Like, they don't feel like they quite fit. And I think that's another thing that really disappoints me. The UI during battles also is just really boring. There's nothing to them, it's minimalist, it's not like they were, which is the entire point of this collection. But nothing from the originals is like they were, it's just cheap. The biggest issues you'll see is if you go through the Steam comments, is there were only 3 servers for each game on launch. And that's not terrible when you think about it, but the maximum amount of players that this game allows in a server at a time is 64 players. One of the biggest collections being released at the time only allowed about 150 players to play on the game at the same time on official servers. What? And that's probably one of the biggest reasons as to why this game went from 10,000 players at launch to 4,000 within 2 hours. Even as I speak, players are dropping off of the board because it's garbage. The servers are not only tiny, but they are not well put together. The servers are laggy. Every time you fire a shot, it's a 50-50 chance as to whether they're going to hit or not. It just feels wrong. But you'll see a lot of the stuff about the multiplayer. That's not what I want to focus on. Because I want to focus on comparing the originals to this new current one that we have now. This new one. One of the major things you'll see missing from the original games is that a lot of the options have been taken out of the menus. Like, the simple option of inverting controls while you're using a vehicle. That's gone. Why? It can literally be implemented within a few minutes, but they took it out. I can't tell if they remade this game or if they ripped it and just did it really poorly. Another major issue is that the online is locked by frame rate for some reason. On Battlefront 2, you have a maximum of 30 FPS, where on Battlefront 1 you have somewhere between 30 and 50. And it's so bizarre, considering the original games didn't have this. Another major issue I had while moving through Battlefront 1 is that in the new one, every time I swap menus from one major thing to another, whether that be moving from the main menus into multiplayer or single player or things like that, it would like minimize and then reopen the game. Like, it was trying to relaunch for some reason, and it was constant. My screen would just be flashing black and white, like, for no apparent reason. I'd also like to take a moment to just realize that even though people are saying that this game looks a lot better because of the re-release, whatever, the remake, I don't know, it just kind of doesn't. Like, Battlefront 2, even with all of its janky character models, looks better. I don't know what it is, but to me, like, the colors are slightly more vibrant. The edges are slightly sharper. Things just feel better. These games don't feel the same. It feels like they've taken the original games and just taken things out and made them slightly worse. Like, even the movement feels just a little bit more rough. And I'm not talking out of my arse here. Like, I literally played these games back to back to compare them, and the originals just feel better to play because the animations are smoother. It doesn't take as long to get into the games, and simple things like choosing a game mode are just easier to do. Another really weird issue is that sometimes when you're playing the collection, the sounds will just stop working randomly throughout matches. Like, I will be playing along fine, and then for some reason I get killed and all of the sounds just stop existing. I've also found out that in either game, the heroes just don't work properly. The AI is really not intelligent, even compared to the originals, where that was already kind of an issue. And the last but probably most egregious thing is that to download this game, it was 60 gigabytes. Collectively, both Battlefront 1 and 2 were 13 gigabytes, give or take like 0.3. How do you manage to make a game nearly 3 times larger and still have it be less functional and worse than the original? And yes, I know the answer. It's because there's slightly higher quality models, because all of the menus have been slightly upticked, but that doesn't account for another 30 gigabytes. That's maybe a 5 to 7 gigabyte upgrade in each game. It is not 30 to 40 gigabytes of space more. I think the worst part about this is that I was really looking forward to this. I was really looking forward to playing online with new people and seeing these games relive their glory days as possibly some of the most fun shooters on the market. And I still believe that they are amazing games, with some pretty rough edges, but the way they work now is just, this collection is not interesting. How does Aspire, something that has made Civilization and the Tomb Raider remakes that are honestly pretty decent, how do they go from that to this? It's so lazy. It's so devastating. The one very good thing is that Steam hasn't taken the originals off the market. So, if you want to prove me wrong, then go ahead and download the originals. Compared to the $50 game that this is, you can buy the originals for collectively about $20. And that is the biggest issue to me. They have packaged both of these games that collectively cost $20 and made them cost double and some. Why? These are not better than the original. You have packaged both games as one and made them actually worse to play. Not only is the online less functional, but the in-game just feels rougher, and you've taken options that the player had out. Why? I know that I'm going to seem like I'm complaining about nothing, that this is just nostalgia playing off of my senses, but when you take the time to nostalgia bait a bunch of people like myself, and then you do not deliver on what you offered up, it's just wrong. And I, for one, have lost all hope in Aspire going forward. I do not care what you release next. As long as I see that Aspire next to it, I will immediately be expecting the worst. Because of this, it is blatantly and unabashedly one of the laziest ports to a game that had already been ported over. I'm honestly just rambling at the moment, and a lot of the stuff and things I say in this video probably aren't going to make a whole lot of sense, but I just had to get it off my chest because this is so incredibly disappointing to me. And I know that I kind of dropped everything out of the blue to rush out this half-polished video, but honestly, that's kind of how this game feels. That's kind of how these games feel. They feel half done and rushed out of the door. Hopefully Dragon's Dogma 2 won't be this bad, but I will have another video. Hopefully that Final Fantasy VII video will be coming out soon, and I'll also be having a quick rundown on Dragon's Dogma coming for you, so keep an eye out for those in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Time to record some footage of this game, and hopefully not go over the refund timer.